You have to have really good eyes.
Patrice, who replaces George on this committee?
Recording in progress.
You guys haven't done your,
Like, you haven't sent it to Justin, I haven't seen it, I actually sent it to you.
That sounds weird. That's
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just eat avocado and then just.
My mom. I don't always have time to add avocado on it.
oh, sometimes it's just one on a committee?
It's not like, avocado makes me, most of them are guacamole.
Oh, really? Okay, we were just blessed to have two council members, huh? Everybody likes us.
I'm not a potty.
20 feet.
I don't, but I like to go
20 feet from the crosswalk, 30 feet from anything that has a traffic signal device. Stop sign, yield sign.
Well, channel 17, go ahead, record, please.
You did. Yes. So great.
Okay, we're good to go.
Welcome to 2026, guys. TMAC, here we go. Before we go introduce around the table, I just want to do a special introductions to Jim Brookhart. He's alternative for David Keller. Okay, and then also Ryan Colwick. Nice.
Ryan's not here yet. He thought he was coming, but if he walks in, we'll make him introduce himself.
But there are newest members, they're alternatives for the standing members right now. But so I will go ahead and start introductions. I'm Beth Province, TMAC chair. Yay. Go ahead now.
I'm Noah Gordon, TMAC co-chair.
Kendall Thurston.
Ashley Sudiak, I'm gonna be taking over her position once she retires.
You're retiring?
I mean, it's not a moment too soon. So, Judy Johnson, left TMAC, and fun.
So this is Judy's last TMAC meeting. She is retiring before our next one in February. So I think her February retirement date is February 12th, right?
Right.
And Judy has been an outstanding member of the staff for not only TMAC, but entire public works engineering, and many times had expanded into the rest of the public works. We're going to miss Judy like you won't believe. She keeps me on the straight and narrow and keeps me organized and going to the right meetings. So she is awesome. And
Vern is kind. So
we want to congratulate Judy on her future retirement.
Okay, I'm Joseph Gandy with Public Works.
I'm Danielle Nicholson, engineering.
Golden Golding Development Services Parking.
Dan Crucio, Development Services Parking Manager. Lisa Johnson, Planning Commission, TMAC.
Teresa McKay, council.
Again.
And also Development Services.
Emma Thomas, BYU Public Health.
Okay, Baker, Billy, both as well.
David Middleton, Provo Engineering.
Vern Kiesler, Provo City Engineering.
Hey, on shore, Provo City Engineering. We have
So do we even have enough and can we hear him?
Sorry, Greg's here. Yep.
Greg's on there too.
You're muted.
I can hear you. Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Greg McFarland from TMAC, and I'm ill, so I'm not there, but happy to be here.
Thank you for not spreading it. I appreciate it. I've had enough with my kids. Okay, thank you so much all for coming today. Our first item is an action item, approving the minutes from November 20th, 25. Have anybody who would like to motion?
I will move that we approve the minutes from November.
You can go ahead and second if you want.
Second.
Perfect, thank you. We have approval and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, next on our presentation on our.
See when she's gonna give us.
I know.
We wouldn't have time to finish the meeting.
Well, we will have to congratulate her afterwards and wish her many restful days.
That would be great.
Is there a big retirement party?
No.
That we get a country?
I know, that was a
That
definite
was
no.
by request, so. Let's
Beauty is
move
to
on.
model.
Well, we will very, very much. Okay, on our third item on the agenda is a presentation by our BYU students, and I'll let Vern go ahead and introduce them.
So last semester, we teamed up with BYU Department of Health, and specifically, we teamed up with Truman and McKay and McKenna and Emma. Emma and both McKay are here today to present the findings of this study. I got to work with the students for the entire semester, fall semester. Yeah, let's go to that. Let's see their pretty faces. Let's go to the next one. So here's the 4 students we got to work with. This kind of came about because of some preliminary work they did about a year ago, I think. A year ago, January, February, you were here, and you guys did an informal survey talking to students about near misses and close calls and whatnot. And so that precipitated us, because they had a capstone class, that precipitated the ability to team up and partner with them and get some cheap labor and work with them to get some things done. So we're going to turn the time over to both Emma and McKay to present this. And then at the end, we certainly have time for questions.
Do you want to stand and?
Whatever you guys feel most comfortable with. And just say next slide and he will move it for you.
Okay, so, yeah, we're just public health students. I'll stand here so I can look at my own screen.
It's close to the microphone too. So
Great,
that's good.
great. So, yeah, we're public health students in our senior year, just finishing up. And this was, like Vern said, our culminating capstone project, and we focused a lot on pedestrian safety along the 800 corridor, 800 North in Provo. I'm Emma.
I'm McKay.
Next slide, please. So, like Vern said, last year for a different class, an advocacy class that we were taking, we did a project where we tried to determine how students were feeling about safety on campus, off campus, just in the Provo area. And from our findings, there was about 75% of students were reporting that they felt unsafe, particularly in the Joaquin neighborhood south of campus. And so we also noticed that there was a problem with the reporting system. So when students were involved in any kind of accident, if they were a pedestrian or a cyclist, it was difficult for them to make an accurate report with the police, file a claim, because they didn't necessarily have a license plate number to put in the form. And the form is online and would time out after a certain amount of time. So we just saw that there maybe were some problems with underreporting, maybe some misrepresented data for really how safe it was. Next slide, please. And so because of some of that confusion with the system, this semester we wanted to really focus on finding and looking at accurate data. And so that was great to team up with Vern to do that and understand high traffic areas and just the different pedestrian and cyclist behavior. And so we gathered data, and the hope is that with this data, and I'm sure Vern we've talked about this and he'll carry it through, but we want to make South Campus in Provo, for Provo residents and for BYU students, a safer area to be a pedestrian or a cyclist. And so we just hope that there will be better infrastructure that's put in place there to help with overall safety. And so what we did was Vern's team set up surveillance cameras on 7 different intersections across the 800 North Corridor in Provo. So from 1st East all the way to 7th East on 2 different 3-day periods. So if you're not familiar with the area, we'll pull up a map. But these are each of the kind of intersections and the vantage points that we had. This is daytime, and then we also have, we looked at it, for 72 hours. So we saw in the middle of the night as well. Is everyone familiar with this area or know about it? Yeah? So yeah, this is the yellow indicators, or the different intersections that we specifically looked at for As far as results go, we inputted our findings. We got clickers where we clicked through hundreds and hundreds of hours and just indicating if we saw if they were pedestrians versus if they were cyclists, micromobility users, anyone that was using skates, skateboards, e-scooters, anything like that. And then once we've had that all in one location, we were able to make it more digestible by putting it into different graphs. On the next slide. So by far, 200 East was the problem area along this corridor. We'll give some specific examples, but it just far surpassed traffic with way more pedestrian, cyclists, near misses, and micromobility users as well.
Let's stay on that one for just a second. So let's turn the hands of time back about 35 years ago when I was a student here. 4th East was kind of the primary. They didn't have the 5th East connection because there was no, that building, yeah. So the science building wasn't there at the time. It was just a big hill. Since that time, it's been built, and you can kind of see that a lot of students have migrated over to the 5th East project, and that's where we just did some pedestrian improvements with the rectangular rapid flashing beacons. What really surprised me was the amount of pedestrians, bicyclists, and other micromobility using 2nd East, where the 3-way stop is. It's highly congested. We do have a plan in a year or two to address that intersection a little bit more, but what has been your experience if you've been around BYU, whether you use a student or a pedestrian or a resident, and this has also changed since 2016, when we had a corridor study done for 8th North from Geneva Road all the way over to 7th East. These numbers have changed since then too. And I find it very interesting that the impact of micromobility has led people to use the 2nd East intersection because of the ramp that's located there. Any other different experiences, Lisa?
That's been my experience, and I think the reason you have 200 being such a huge number is because that's where the pedestrian or the bike route goes all the way up from 6 miles. So
Yeah, Vern.
as a biker, it's the best one to use because you don't have to worry about all those conflict points. 700 East ends at 800 North, and your conflict begins there, or actually 700 North. Your conflict begins there, trying to cross 700 North on that bike route. And then the rest of the way is kind of circuitous, so.
Vern,
Thanks, Lisa.
I've used this intersection almost every day for the last 6 years, mostly as a cyclist. 800 North is a much better street for cyclists than Cougar Boulevard is, because the Cougar Boulevard bike lane kind of gives up at State Street, as you and I have talked about before. So coming from the west side to BYU campus, 800 North is a much better road. And so you have this weird problem where, like, eastbound traffic on 800 North, this micromobility traffic, wants to try to get up to that ramp, which is on the north side of the road. And so you have a bunch of scooters and cyclists, like, weaving to the other side of the road because there's no real good way to get there. This is an intersection that's regularly brought up in my classes by students who point out that, you know, you've got this really great bicycle ramp and you've got this really great bike facility on 200 East, like Lisa was just saying, but they're connected by this very not great intersection. So it doesn't surprise me that there's been such an increase in volume there. I guess I had a question. What is this 20,000? Is this activities in the year you studied it, or in the week you observed? What's the duration here?
So it's over the course of 72 hours, and this is just the total.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this
is midweek. This is when students have already developed their routines. This is a few weeks into school, so it's just kind of mimicking what normal behavior would be in that area.
Yeah, so if you put all those students who use this intersection into cars, it would be the busiest intersection in Provo by far. So thinking of this from that perspective, the kind of level of attention it probably needs is good. This is great data to look through.
Anyone else? Thanks, Greg. Anybody else?
I mean, I avoid this street like the plague, and especially for that intersection alone.
That one's really hard.
Yeah, and I think in Provo it's so hard because pedestrians think, well, they have the right of way, whether they keep going or what. Drivers always must yield to them. So as a driver, it's just frustrating because you're like, all of Provo, someone's going to walk out in front of you. I'm excellent at stopping behind the white line, but it is like, it doesn't. Drivers.
Thanks, Kendall, for your thoughts too. Anyone else?
I think I would have to, like, the only reason I'm ever on 800 North in that particular area is if we're going to Brookhaven as a family, and then it's Brookhaven and back, and we don't even, I mean, I used to drive that, 10, 15 years ago, but now I just avoid the whole area like the plague. It's like, nope, I don't even want to interact with the BYU students. I don't want even that opportunity that something bad could happen.
This was a topic of conversation with our BYU quarterly meeting today. I just let you guys know that. Let's resume, please.
Next slide. Okay, so this just looks at per hour kind of the trends that we're seeing for total activity. And as it is to be expected, I mean, right before, typical school time, about 7 a.m., you see this huge spike in traffic all around. And then at the top of each hour, like 10 minutes before each hour, that's when you see a bunch more pedestrians, like mobility users, with students leaving and going to class.
You a quick on this. Do you guys do car count also, or just, okay?
Yeah, no.
I was just wondering what the car count along that road with the count of pedestrians and everything.
I have a camera out there right now. We're collecting speed and volume data as we speak. I can bring that back to TMAC next month and give you the amount of volume that we have on that. Okay?
Overlay it. Yeah, overlay.
Yeah, that's what.
To show when the peak cars and the peak people intersect.
I can do that, yes.
I was thinking if we have 22,000 pedestrian bikes in a 72-hour period, I'm very curious as to what car activity also is in that same 200. Okay.
And then we just thought it was interesting, micromobility. So that's, scooters, skates, all that kind of thing. Again, 200 East that's where you see the most. And then 400, 500, and 700 were a lot closer in their averages. Anything with cyclists, this is, we were surprised when we were looking at the data because 200 East is just clearly, blatantly the one that we need to focus on in terms of safety.
For bicycle access, 200 East and 700 East are the two highest. That makes sense. That's where you can actually get through on a bike. Unless you want to carry your bike up the stairs, that's not the best way.
So from your graphs, it looks like there's actually more micromobility than there is cyclists.
Yeah.
So it's just
No, the numbers are different. There's more cyclists.
cyclists.
This one is
This
13 or 1,400, and the other one was.
Oh, okay.
More bikes.
Different scale.
Just the scale. All data lies, right? All data lies. Every histogram.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so I want to put up the law here just as a refresher, but to explain our purpose just a little. When we were looking at today, we're not trying to assign fault to any of the vehicles or the pedestrians or the cyclists, but more so we were focused on the safety and looking at the trends across that street. So you want to go to the next slide here. So yeah, I'm going to show some of the near miss trends, and a near miss we defined as vehicle passes within 3 feet of a pedestrian or does a really unsafe maneuver within the crosswalk. So that's what we consider a near miss. And that's our legend. The vehicles are the red, the cyclists are the green, and the pedestrians are the blue. In terms, we did have videos of examples of this occurring, but we're not going to put it up there, obviously, to keep it anonymous. Provo is a somewhat small community. I'm sure you could recognize some of the cars. But I did put in...
As long as there's no parking vehicles.
Yeah, don't feel guilty yet. But yeah, so I just did some of the... I just made a map and then put the legend in there just to show the trends that occurred along 200 East is where we focus on. That's where we want to put the intervention. If you want to go to the next slide. This is the first one. This is trend number 1. There was and it's an order of frequency. So I put the trends order of frequency. There's 5 of them. The left turn conflict at that pedestrian crossing. So what happened is that vehicles turning left on 800 North would often commit to the turn and advance through it when there were pedestrians in the crosswalk. And this is the one we saw the most. Yeah, go ahead.
I've actually had this discussion with my husband recently. Were they in the crosswalk within where the car was moving, or were they farther down the crosswalk past where the car could safely pass them, quote unquote, safely pass?
So,
and the reason why I asked this is because there's actually 2 different kind of crosswalks, and I don't think most people understand that. There are crosswalks that the pedestrian can go, and once the lane is clear, the car can go without the pedestrian being fully out of the crosswalk, or you have the other crosswalk where they have to be fully out of the crosswalk before a car can.
Right. And I'm not an expert on the law of the crosswalk, so you have to talk to Vern about that.
I was just wondering if that was the observation.
Yeah, well, what I saw on this one specifically is that right there, if you see at the edge of the ramp there's some stairs. What occurs is that the car would start advancing into the crosswalk, or start advancing into the middle of the lane, and then people would start getting into the crosswalk, and as soon they would meet like right there. So it wasn't necessarily that anyone was at fault. It was just that because of how that's structured, people would assume it was safe to turn, and then pedestrians would enter the crosswalk at the same time, and you'd have to have pedestrians getting out of the way, or the vehicle would advance through the gap in the pedestrians. That's what we saw at the most that would occur.
So you have a challenge here where you have an always stop, and so the vehicles are supposed to alternate, and so the vehicle coming from on the northbound approach, turns when it's their turn in the traffic stream, and then what I've observed the same thing that he's describing here, is they turn and are then surprised that there are pedestrians in the crosswalk, and they kind of have to wait in the intersection until they're through. But the cars base their departure on the stream in traffic being their turn, rather than there being pedestrians in or out of the crosswalk.
I've even had this problem as a cyclist, because you stop there at the stop sign like a car would, you wait for your turn, it's your turn to go, and you can't go because the pedestrians are a constant stream. And so I can see that you have cars who are not doing it ignorantly, but are doing it out of desperation because they've missed their turn several times and are finally just going to go because the pedestrians won't stop.
And the unsafe maneuver that we witness here is that sometimes the cars wouldn't stop. They would just, it's my turn, just blow through, and pedestrians have to get out of the way. That was kind of the why I put number 1 as trend 1, and we saw the most and the most unsafe. We can go to the next one. This is trend number 2. This one's kind of similar, but cars would inch forward out of into the first crosswalk and then continue to inch forward all the way to the second crosswalk, which is more trafficked, the westbound crosswalk there. And then this usually happened about 10 minutes before the hour when there was peak congestion because of classes, and you just had a constant pedestrian stream for about 10 minutes, tons of back of the cars, and the cars would generally wait till there was a gap and then dart through again. So generally, it reduced the crosswalk space for the pedestrians, and there's sudden, unpredictable vehicle movements. So it's generally unsafe there. The trend number 3, this was kind of in the off-peak pedestrian flow hours. This was kind of midday, about 2 to 3, when there wasn't a lot of pedestrians. And interestingly, when the vehicles would come, they would travel quicker. So when there's a lot of pedestrians, it'd be like a slow advancement through the crosswalk. But at this time, there'd be less, people would stop for less time, they'd re-stop, and then they continue through quickly. And what would occur is that sometimes the pedestrians would be distracted on their mobile devices or not paying attention, not look both ways, step in the crosswalk, and the car would be coming at a quicker pace, and it would just they'd have to abruptly slam on their brakes or dodge the pedestrian, or the pedestrian would have to dodge. And so it's generally just more dangerous because of the speed of the vehicles. And yeah, there was more conflicts because the pedestrians would enter unexpectedly and the vehicles would be going faster. So that was number 3.
Sorry to interrupt. The pedestrians have the right of way, right? Like, if they're there, the vehicle should be expecting them to enter. Like, just because, like, I guess I take objection a little bit to the phrasing of these sentences here, right? Conflicts are more likely when pedestrians are entering unexpectedly. The vehicle should be expecting pedestrians to enter. It's their job to stop.
Right. I will say one thing about this intersection specifically is you can see that it's like a curved, they have a curved retaining wall there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the visibility is, because there's also the ramp that goes up, and there's like a rail. And so you have pedestrians coming from like multiple ways along that, and cyclists and micromobility using that crosswalk. And sometimes at the off-peak pedestrian hours, the vehicles will be going quickly, and people will enter that as they're already in the middle of an intersection, right? So they have to slam on their brakes anyways. I do agree that obviously they have to give the pedestrians right away, and they shouldn't be going as quickly as they are. But yeah, I don't necessarily know how good the visibility is for the vehicles there, or if they're even looking.
Well, slight pushback though. Some people just think I'm a pedestrian and I can walk into the road. As a pedestrian, you still have the obligation to check and see what's going on around you.
Yeah, and that's what that couple slides said. If there's imminent danger, they're not allowed to step off the curb. But the minute they do, or the second they do step off that curb, we're supposed to yield the right of way as motorists, right? So let's not waste time debating who's right or wrong with it. We just want everybody to be safe. Catrice?
It's the same thing. I lived in Southeast Provo for 10 years, and I took 700 dozens times a day. And the scary part, it was horrific. The scary part is that they'd often walk, as he mentioned here, they'd walk out, not on a crosswalk, and they'd walk, a lot of audio going on where they're not, I mean, it's kind of like Frogger. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
So the 3 rules of crossing for a pedestrian, and this applies to every scenario. You have to come to a full stop. Just like a vehicle comes to a stop, a pedestrian should also come to a full stop. Look, you gotta look at the vehicles, make eye contact. Number 3 being listen. You gotta be always listening to if there's a car coming or not. So that's every pedestrian's obligation. They gotta follow that. And I'm pretty sure that's not happening here. I guess I do have a question for you.
Sure.
There's 2 crosswalks, east leg, west leg, both serving north-south movements. How many, volume-wise, are they pretty much divided? Do you see equal volume using both legs, or is this one being heavily used, the other one's not?
From my observation, I'd probably say it's about 70% on the west lane there, and then 30% on the east.
Maybe that could be something that we got to look into, because the more crossing areas you're providing within an intersection of a similar kind, you're creating scenarios where there's more interaction between pedestrian vehicles, and that's always an unsafe environment that you're creating. So that could be something that we got to look into. If it's being used 70-30, it probably is best to keep it 100-0. There's a lot more opportunity for drivers to see you, pedestrians to see drivers, and there will be less gaps, if I may say that.
So you keep people crossing and always going 200 on the west side.
The tricky part with that, again, is that there's stairs on the left and there's the ramp on the right. So all your micromobility is trying to do a weird swoosh to get over to that one. And so if they have to then be on the wrong side of the street going up the ramp, we have to facilitate something like that.
As Greg said, there's a weird weave that goes on at this intersection like you won't believe. And so we don't have to get solutions. I will tell you, we are doing a warrant analysis at this intersection for a traffic signal. We will be installing one this summer at 7th East. It's under design right now. Dave Nicholson's been designing that particular traffic signal at 7th East and 8th North. So let's finish on. Let's move forward.
I was going to say briefly on the pedestrian responsibility side of things. BYU has gotten better in the last couple semesters, putting out A-frames that have a little pedestrian safety, look both ways, things like that. And so our hope is, I mean, to, keep pursuing the project, pass it into different hands, when we leave, to work with the risk management at BYU to get them to care a little bit more. It's a big issue.
And from our standpoint too, we're noting the pedestrian and vehicle behavior, but more so we want to do an intervention that, like a stoplight or something, that would create systematically a change that would increase safety rather than just fixate on the behavior. So this is trend 4. This deals with the cyclist. And along that, you can see the bike lane there. And there's a lot of, we note a lot of conflicts there. Not the first crosswalk, but the second crosswalk, where the cyclists will approach that intersection at high speed. And once again, the visibility is really bad there, especially for cyclists, because you have vehicles on one side and then you have the wall on the other side. And a lot of cyclists weren't coming to a complete stop at the stop sign, and then they were going into the intersection, somewhere obviously. But the problem is that they would come and approach the pedestrians, and then they would have to either do an evasive maneuver to get around the pedestrians, which would mean that they would dodge them and be sandwiched between the cars, or they would shift into the oncoming vehicle lane, which is even more dangerous. I saw that a couple of times. But yeah, it was just a dangerous pattern that was going on there with the cyclist lane. And you can go to trend number 5. Yeah.
Sorry, let me add one more thing here. I regularly use this intersection as a cyclist. So what happens to me most frequently is that cars going westbound will not remain in the vehicle lane, because as you see right here, as you've drawn it with this line, the straight line into the next half of the intersection, the cars will move over into the bicycle lane and cut me off or push me up against the curb. And that happens pretty frequently because, again, there's usually a traffic queue, and so they don't know that I'm coming up behind them because I'm moving faster than they are.
Right. We're going to trend number 5. This is the last trend. This is by far the most congested. Yeah, I put every shape on the board here. This is at peak traffic period, so this is about 5 p.m. And I know someone had a question at the beginning, when's the most vehicles? It's around rush hour. This is when we have the most vehicles and the most pedestrians, and randomly the most micromobility and cyclists. So it's just complete congestion. You have almost every trend that I spoke of going on. And what we were discussing earlier, the problem really that occurs here is that you have cars inching into the middle of the intersection, but you still have a higher amount of bicycle traffic. And so the bicycles will be following that bike lane on 200 East, stop at the stop sign, and then have to go into the intersection, weave around a car, and then weave around multiple pedestrians to get up to the bike ramp to go on to BYU. So it's just quite, it creates kind of bumper cars there in the middle, and it's just a lot of congestion at that time and a lot of blocking the intersection. And so, yeah, there just needs to be something done at this intersection, intervention-wise. Okay, we'll go to the next slide here. This is another thing that I want to show, just visibility challenges. These are 2 videos at night. We've been focusing on 200 East. This is something more for BYU. You can click again, I'll actually show the video. But this is just showing how dark it is on BYU side. There's just a wall of darkness. So yeah, the pedestrians just kind of appear out of the darkness there. There are street lights, sorry, on the
Provo side.
Yeah,
Provo
we
side.
added them, and we talked to BYU about adding.
Yeah, so we'd have to talk to risk manager. This is another visibility challenge.
Is it 200?
That's at 400.
400.
And the next one we're going to show you is at 300. These are the 2 darkest streets.
Oh, no. This one's at the bottom of the big.
So yeah, this is 300. I want to show this video just because the pedestrian just kind of appears out of the darkness as there's an oncoming car.
You can only see them because of the lights of the oncoming traffic.
Right. So that one's really dark.
Couldn't even see them on the sidewalk.
No, you didn't.
And that's another thing for pedestrians that are stepping out into the crosswalk, that because there's a lot of double parking going on, parking around BYU campus is limited. These students and pedestrians are walking across, kind of hoping that there's nothing coming towards them. So we're grateful for the light that was put on 500, because we did notice that a lot of pedestrians, when it is dark, they are using the light.
You go to the next slide. And yeah, this is just a recap briefly of the trends. Higher traffic about 10 minutes before the hour, obviously coincides with class schedule. There's tons of walking pedestrians. There was a significant amount of people distracted on devices, and not so much at 200 East. 200 East, a lot of people use the crosswalk, but a lot of the other streets, people weren't using the crosswalk. And again, not at 200 East, but other streets, people were going at high speeds and braking abruptly, almost stopping in the crosswalk when they're pedestrians. And so the stopping distance wasn't far enough back. And then at night as well, it was difficult to see the cyclists, even on the video, they weren't using helmets or lights. So just some other safety patterns and trends we noticed. And then we'll go to our final slide. These are our recommendations. Cut off our S there, that's all right. But install stoplights at the intersection 700 East, which is in the plan. But we recommend installing another one at 200 East because it's such a high traffic location. Another problem too at 200 East is that North 150 East, where Brick Oven is, there's a left turn there, and people try and turn out into the congested traffic that backs up from 200 East almost all the way to that stoplight. And so you have further congestion, and it's unsafe for vehicles and pedestrians and cyclists all along that street. And then more for BYU side of things, risk management to improve the street lighting along the east side of 800 North, at 300 and 400 East, which were the darkest at night. And then, like Vern was saying, they didn't install a pedestrian hybrid beacon at 500 East. We don't have data before as to if it was safe, but we did recognize from the videos that a lot of people are using that beacon, especially at night, which is good. But we recommend installing another one at the very least at 400 East or 580 East to improve the pedestrian crossings. And then the last two are more farther in the future, long term, but streamline accident reporting system, pedestrians and cyclists. So I have heard reports that the Provo Police has fixed the timeout feature on the online system, but there are still some problems with the underreporting of accidents due to having to have a license plate or a VIN number. So yeah, we want to be able to streamline that reporting system, and then collaborate with BYU to improve the infrastructure along that inner north corridor.
What's 580?
At the bottom of the life science building where that little sub street comes down.
It's a dead end street that leads to a parking garage.
Just thinking out loud, Northeast would probably be a higher priority than 580, but we'll look at the data again. Questions for Emma and McKay? Yeah, you guys did great. It was a wonderful project working with our students at BYU, collaborating with them and also BYU. I mean, a lot of people, and so thank you. I really appreciate it. Anything else? Your final thoughts?
Just be safe. The safe drivers.
Thank you. You guys are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting too, or you're welcome to whatever you got time for.
Thank you so much.
Well, no, we'll go ahead and we're going to do a warrant analysis study for that 200 East. If I were kind of, my gut feel tells me if we want to jump to solutions, I'm probably going to look at a traffic signal there. I'm pretty certain it's going to be warranted. And then I'm going to look at a scramble. So the scramble will be a split phase where east-west movement can go, and we stop traffic. All the pedestrians and bicyclists go, right? And then it's red in all directions, except for the pedestrians. And then we get the northbound phase gets to go. And so that's what my gut feel tells me I need to do a scramble there. We have a scramble. Who can tell me where else we have the scramble in Provo?
Marriott Center.
Marriott Center, thanks, Greg. It's the Marriott Center right there on the northwest corner of the Marriott Center. We just haven't painted it a scramble, but we are going to do that this year, and that will look really neat. It functions that way now. You've been to a BYU football game or basketball game or a high school graduation, even what do they do on Tuesdays? Devotionals? It's just everywhere, right? So we just need to paint it that way, and it functions that way now.
Vern, I think the scramble is absolutely the right thing to do there. One of the design challenges you'll have is because the volumes are so high, you'll need to provide pedestrian storage, and the curbs there right now don't support that. So you'll probably have to pave out some more curb.
Possibly. It depends if I give that movement to the pedestrians every other time.
Yeah, and if it's most of the cycle, then it might work, but that'll be a design challenge. But you guys are smart, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and during peak pedestrian hours, we got some data to go on now and take a look at that. So, yeah, thanks for that comment. Patrice?
Is it worth collaborating with BYU and seeing if something better can be done with visibility and the ramp and like really incorporate it to a whole holistic?
I brought it up to him today.
Okay.
It wasn't well received yet, but they have to think about things for a while. So, it has been brought up. I want that sidewalk extended on the north side, and because of the hill, and yeah, it's just topography at this point, right? Elevation differences. So,
I do want to add maybe a little bit more to that. I did notice on the slide, it was mentioned that the pedestrian beacons were installed on 50. Mm-hmm. That was 40s, right?
No, it's 50s.
Which pedestrian beacon are we referring to? The
8th North and 5th East. You designed it.
4th East, right?
No, it's 50s. You and I went to the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, my bad. I did.
This is where the new intersection is.
Yeah, I did two different, sorry, my bad. But it's 50s, you're right. So one thing I guess I want to add to that, we were working with BYU's infrastructure and safety team, and at some point they approached us and they were willing to contribute a portion towards the project. The latest that I know, and correct me, Vern, if I'm wrong, the project got completed, everything was paid for by Provo City, but we didn't receive BYU's portion. So that may be something for you guys to take back to your administration and let them know that if they pitch in, pay for their portion, we can improve better and do a little bit more.
The crazy thing about these projects is that you hear from so many different students, different majors, that this is something they care about because they're living in those apartments, right, south of campus, and yet, you know, you have a semester to do a project, you have a semester, and it does not get the traction it needs. So, I mean, I've been working on this since last winter, and, you know, so I'm hoping that something gets done, but we'll do what we can.
So legally with the scramble, if you're gonna, do they go diagonal then? Because the bikes go diagonal, and can we put a ramp in different places so they can all hit the ramp? And
Yeah, scramble just really allows anybody to go diagonal or walk outside of it, on the inside of it.
That's one of the biggest problems is that people are stuck in the middle.
It's gonna make it complicated with bikes who behave like a car when their car light is green and who behave like a pedestrian when the pedestrian light's green, and they're not gonna get off their bike and be a pedestrian. So
You're exactly right.
that's gonna complicate things.
Yeah. And it does.
Vern, how important is this for automobile traffic along here? As far as, I know you're getting traffic counts. Is there appetite to shut down this section of 800 North and all essentially, or is it a vital link automobile traffic back?
Yeah, it's a really good point because this intersection does affect almost to University on the backup, not quite, about 50 East, but it goes past 150 where Brick Oven is. It goes past the crosswalk on First East. We cannot look at this intersection in a vacuum, so I've notified BYU that both intersections at 150 East and this one would be looked at the same time. On a peak hour, if you're going westbound at that stop sign, you could be backed up a block and a half with the amount of pedestrians and the amount of vehicles. It is going to be interesting. If I had a magic wand and I was king for the day, I would move BRT to 8th North and make it bike, ped, and BRT only, and allow our streets to return with the grid pattern on 7th North and move that BRT system up there.
Why did that happen?
Huh?
Why did that happen?
The short answer, I wasn't here. Long answer, probably funding.
And UVA in the discussion said they weren't disinterested. It's just a matter of funding and, you know, wrapping up other priorities before they go back and redo old projects.
meaning that it's recommended in the station area plan to move it to 800.
We
Well, we
did.
put it in writing, so at least it's somewhere.
Yep.
That we can point to, thanks to Bird's
Because I was
suggestion.
thinking you cutting off 800, that's what I was thinking, 700 is so mess that you can't get, people couldn't get to parking garage, that is the main parking garage. Parking lot.
You don't know if it counts yet, probably, is this lend itself to like reversible lanes or tight, I mean, is it predominantly one direction so much that you could make it a one-way that would reverse?
It's a really good concept and idea worth exploring, because BYU really wants access on 800 North. So it is going to be interesting to see how we do that. But think about how north-south traffic would be affected with the through streets of 700 not being blocking second, third, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to sixth, to be back through streets again. And that would help with our grid pattern, and grid patterns, as we know, distribute traffic pretty evenly, right? As opposed to putting all the traffic on 4th East or 7th East. So I'm sure those two roadways dramatically increased in traffic, northbound and southbound, when 7th North was put in and prohibited all that north-south connectivity.
Who chose BRT to be in 700 North? Is that?
I don't know. The EIS, I have no idea. I wasn't here.
I think that the life science building parking lot has a lot to do with not wanting to access to 800 North.
And here's another thing. We talked about parking just briefly, and then you guys got to get to your agenda here. But parking, BYU has 2,000 parking passes unsold every semester. They're $60. $60. You guys spend that money on a dinner. $60, right?
$60 that have to be paid at one time. Students couldn't pay like $20 a month for the semester. I pitched that, they said no.
They said no.
Isn't it that they oversell as well? Like, there's so many, you know, it's not one spot for every.
Well, I
That's
think
not
they're
what
always
they're-
counting the Marriott Center parking lot in the count.
Right, that's not what they're gonna tell you, unlike the apartment complexes that oversell. So $60, they have 2,000, additional spaces that they can, and they're not taken out. So we all know that apartment complexes oversell their parking passes. So anyway, with that being said, I think that's a really good observation, Noah, and we're gonna have to take all those into consideration when we do the warrant analysis.
We're gonna go real quick since we're running low on time. Next item agenda is meeting topics for 2026. Anybody have any burning, pressing ideas or topics they want to speak about?
Well, one idea is public transportation from the Provo airport to the
So where?
St. Leonard.
Sure. So from the airport to the intermodal station? Okay.
Now, this one's more my own personal interest, but what about a double right turn lane from where University goes up to 9th East and then turns onto 9th East?
Oh.
I don't think it's called University once you get there, but.
You're on Parkway, turning right onto 9th East. So we've recently, Kendall, done 9th East corridor, signal timing project. We did get a little bit better timing on that signal. The challenge is BYU doesn't want to give me a right turn lane there. Another right.
This is by the BYU laundry. That is
Yeah, and the.
by the MTC and the laundry.
Yeah.
And BYU has to approve that?
Right of
They do.
I need their property. Yeah. And they do a lot of summer activities there with their youth groups, and I just don't see them being overly willing to give that up.
But sometimes you have like the left turn lanes, but sometimes the one can go straight. You can't do a right. I mean, I could see how it would be a problem for the bus.
And
Anyway, I don't know. That's my vain one tonight.
I really like your suggestion. I've been thinking about how we're able to, so what I'm exploring is an autonomous vehicle that would run from the airport to the intermodal center. That is, to me, has a little bit more merit, although I understand it's in the on-demand area. The airport's in the on-demand, so if someone wanted to, they could go to the bus stop, call UTA, and and get a van to the intermodal center. I think the intermodal center is the limit. They won't go any further east than that.
Do they accept, does the on-demand accept the student buses? You know,
I
like
don't
if you have
think
a,
so.
because I was just thinking that would, the population that would,
That's
I
a
would
good
say a
question.
good population in Provo has those and uses transit for that reason. And if we really, this is one thing we talked to BYU about last night, if we really want, BYU students to not bring their cars to campus and use the public access, or the public transportation access, then we need to make their trips complete. We need to make it possible for them to get everywhere they need to go on public transit. Fill those holes in.
Okay, I'll
Otherwise,
ask
you
that
pay for
question.
it at $12 to get from there to my house, which is on the other side of
It
BYU.
was $12 for what, Tree Streets to there?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and these autonomous vehicles can make that trip, well, at least get to the intermodal center.
Yeah, but that would be really great because they opened up the new bus stops right there.
Yeah,
I mean, for,
90s, yep.
we churro cars, so we're there having to either we both drive or if we had that option again.
Yep. Do you guys want a presentation on autonomous vehicles sometime? I know some good people that can present on autonomous vehicles.
What the big isn't coming here as a service, like Uber or something?
Well, if you go to Austin, Texas, you're driving this vehicle already. You're in a Jaguar.
Haven't they canceled a lot of them or not?
Not in Austin. Austin's doing pretty good.
I don't know.
Vern, they haven't figured out how to run them in the snow yet, or the rain. So they do all the testing in places where it doesn't snow and rain.
Thanks, Greg. That makes some sense.
I also worry about, we begged UTA to finish that connection, and we don't really want to introduce something that competes with UTA's efficiency.
It certainly would.
Maybe we need a presentation from UTA on what they're.
They do have plans, but
Yeah,
I don't know if this on-demand thing sort of, I need it.
it is time. I think that's a great topic. It is time. We haven't done it in probably 2 or 3 years. It's time to have Utah Transit Authority come and present at TMAC. So I'm gonna add that one.
UPX station out there by the airport.
No.
They do.
Sounds like UTA presentation. Another presentation I would love to see is MAG,
You want MAG?
yes.
So I can get MAG to come. They're just getting ready to start their regional transportation plan update, which they're required by law to do every 4 years. So they have to have the plan prepared and adopted by June of 2027. So we will
Would love to see presentation.
have MAG come and present the existing one, and then maybe some higher level travel demand modeling or something like that.
Hasn't it been 5 years since the transportation plan was passed? Do we need to start talking about that again, or is that a 10-year document?
I think the administration is looking at that, so I've done a little bit of research on that. So we average every 11 years to update our transportation master plan. It was adopted in 2020. It is a 20-year plan. We have adopted, if you add our roads, our capital facility plan for roads and our capital facilities plan for active transportation, we've implemented 24% of that transportation master plan, which means we're right on target of doing 25% every 5 years and completing that 20-year plan. However, at the 10 or 11-year mark, it needs to be updated. And I think the administration may be looking at a couple of things that they want to make amendments to.
One thing that I think we talked about that we haven't finished is, I think we might have made a recommendation that the council consider increasing the transportation cover road maintenance.
They did.
They did.
So they gave us
Okay, so we don't need to talk about that again. I just thought if that was something that we left hanging and didn't finish.
no, we get a 14% increase last August, and we get a 14% increase for the next 2 years. I just reviewed the
We'll
state.
cap it at what? What does the fee go up to after 14?
Like $7 a month instead of,
Might reach 7
Okay.
I doubt it. I think it's somewhere in the sixes still, $6 a month, but it varies in whatever category you're in. And this morning I just reviewed the transportation utility fee bill in front of the state legislature and handed in my comments. The real good thing about this proposed bill is it does not exempt out churches and church property. So there's been a lot of people behind the scenes working on that, the league, our attorney, even our council. It's been pretty interesting fight, to be honest with you.
Any other topics?
That's something that I think we should talk about at some point, and I wanted to do this for a couple of years. But the east-west transportation connectivity issue keeps coming up. Like, it's something that I think is important to Provo, and people say it's important to Provo, but we haven't actually defined it very well in like a quantitative, rigorous framework. And I'm wondering if maybe sometime this summer it would be good to get, I don't know, like I could do something and Kahan or someone in engineering could do something and come up with a couple of different ways of visualizing or quantifying, sorry, I'm cold fog, quantifying this east-west division that we talk about. Like, how much is it a thing? What can we use to observe it? And then once we quantify it, then we can start talking about ways to alleviate it. I've been wanting to do this kind of on my own for a few years, but without a deadline, it just keeps getting pushed. So if you tell me a date, then I can work something up.
I actually really appreciate that, Greg. My scope of that would be, of east-west connectivity, would be from the lake to the mountain, not just in any particular area of Provo. So
well, that's right. But then the question is, well, does the west of the freeway area actually have less connectivity than, say, Slate Canyon? Can we measure that in some way?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And so I think that would be a good topic to address here in TMAC. So
Greg, can we expect a draft presentation by next Wednesday?
What I'm really looking forward to is like you telling me, hey, Greg, in July, give this presentation, and then I will spend some summertime on it. But if I don't have a deadline, then I won't volunteer to do it. So
It's a Wednesday, right?
next Wednesday, give me that. Yeah, that sounds great.
Actually, I think July is a great time for something like that. The problem is we don't meet in July typically. So would you be okay with the deadline being in the August meeting? That means all your work was done over the summer.
That sounds great. I'll take something in the August meeting.
Okay.
Vern and I might talk about that a little bit and kind of narrow that scope down just so we know exactly what we want to focus on.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else before we move to a quick report on Lakeview Parkway and the 800 bridge and the University Avenue Bridge? Huh?
I said, yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay. Danielle?
We're all done.
Oh, we're done.
No more construction for hopefully the next 2 years there.
So we just finished some bridge work on Lakeview Parkway, and then in addition to that, in preparation for University Avenue Viaduct Bridge being done, there was a double left put in and shoulders, right turn lanes added at the Slate Canyon, State Street, Lakeview Parkway intersection. Provo City did a commitment. We said 5 years, we'll probably do it in 3 years. UDOT wants us to, that was supposed to be temporary, but we're never gonna take it away. So we just need to clean it up, and that will be a couple, 3 years out after the bridge is completed. 820.
820 North is slow moving right now. We're doing a lot of the drilled shafts for the abutments, so just drilling really deep holes. It will take about 3 more weeks. So this is kind of just videos over the last 2 months, 3 months. You can see numbers when we took down the bridge. Go to the next one. It is gone. First week of December. Second week of December, they started doing, I forgot the name of it, but they dug really deep holes and filled it with rock. Stabilization, it's got a term, slips my mind. It'll come back to me in a second. But that's that bottom picture. You can see that kind of long drill. They're just filling in holes with rock to stabilize the ground there. You can go to the next. You see it in the 17th. This was right before Christmas. They were working on both sides of the river there. Drilled shafts on the left side of the picture, which is the east side of the river. The west side is still doing those rock columns. It's not right, but it will come back.
The caisson or?
No, the caisson, that's what they're doing on the other side, the drill shafts for the caissons. It is, man, he'll come back to me in a moment, but just filling with rocks.
We prefer not the technical.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
I'm better.
And then that was just this week, so you can see on that west side of the bridge there, on the left or the right side of the picture on the bottom, there's not really any work going on right now. They are prepping today to mobilize all their equipment to start the caissons or the drilled shafts on that side next week. So they are wrapping up those on the east side today and tomorrow. They've done 14. That was how many they had on that side. So just slow moving work, really deep holes, long concrete pours. So we've got that for another probably 2-3 weeks of just that kind of grunge work. But
So the good weather is helping this.
it's great. They've appreciated it. It's been a muddy couple of times, but for the most part, it's been pretty good working conditions for them. Once those get in, then you'll see some rapid movement with abutments and other structural concrete work. And then we'll get into like really fast-paced utility work and roadway work and bridge decks. So right now it's just kind of the underground work. You really can't see anything that happens from the camera. This is what I've seen for the last like 3 weeks. It's just lots of cranes and drills, but nothing really happening. So I trust that they're going in.
And the question I keep getting asked by everybody who knows I'm on TMAC, when is the bridge going to open again?
We're anticipating the middle of June, pending that everything stays on track.
And it sounds like everything's staying on track.
As of right now, yes. Yep.
So we get snowstorms in May because.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we get snow, then it will probably mess everything up.
I keep telling everybody September, October. And then when it opens early, they're like, you were wrong. Oh, but now we're going to go faster.
Yeah, we're certainly hoping before the July 4th holiday and Freedom Festival.
Yeah. I've got some videos. I'm happy to share them at another time. I know we're short for time, so.
Oh, I like it.
These are the rock columns. Stone. I'm going to look it up because it's bothering me.
While you're watching those videos, University Avenue Bridge is coming along well. We had some hiccups the first month, but I think we're all done with those hiccups in the sense that we had a couple of traffic accidents and we got better traffic control out there. You'll notice about 1 million barrels out there now that prohibits some potential left turns and head-on collisions. So the project is moving forward. It's right now running on time. We had some major sewer things that we had to take care of at the very beginning, utility work on the 900 South area. Here now they're getting ready to work on the north end and do some ramming, which will be every day, all day for a while.
People in the neighborhood are going to be really happy.
This is great video, by the way.
Stone columns.
There you go.
That's I'm piling stone columns.
Stone columns.
Came up.
That's what it was.
Come up with make up a word.
It's like putting an empty shaft down there, filling it with rocks, and then pulling the shaft out.
Pretty much, there's a vibrating mechanism on the end of that, the drill there, and so as it comes up, it kind of vibrates the rock into the soil, and so it's just to create a matrix, a stone matrix in the ground of aggregate and soil, so that it is a little bit better.
Great, since it's a waterlogged.
Yeah.
At least the word matrix sounded better.
I threw that in there for you. I was like, I gotta throw that in there. I don't know if that's right, but you can go to the next one. Sure. Really quickly. You can wrap up as you watch this. Time lapse. Work of half.
Oh, they went down in a flash.
It was about 4 or 5 hours to take that down.
As always, thank you for your service to Provo City. Thanks for serving on TMAC. Really appreciate it. There's so much better meeting and more fun meeting than discussing micromobility.
Yes. I, 100% yes. Okay, Bob, this is cool. And as we're finishing this up, I will say thank you so much, and we are adjourned.
Motion.